All right, Jamie. So I guess that leaves this one that's that apparently Garney knows, but I don't know. But so this would be your biggest disappointment of 2014.
Yes.
Oh wait, Birdman is your most biggest disappointment, Jamie?
Yes.
You motherfucker.
Thank you, Pig Bomb.
Okay, yeah, I remember when you. Okay, now I know Garney why. Okay, go ahead, Jamie.
It's just personal taste. It's just how it struck me. Like I was completely annoyed by it, and I felt like it had too many show-offy flourishes in it that distracted from what I felt should have been the main thrust of it.
Are you talking about the way it was shot?
I just thought there were too many gimmicks in it to try to say, "Oh, aren't we original and unique?" And I thought the movie was should have been a lot simpler than that. And I thought it would have been a lot more dramatically effective had it been treated more simply. You know, I think he's got like tell me something else that he's directed in your research.
Naratu Bible, 21 grams.
21 grams, Amores Perros. Didn't he
21 grams, one of my most favorite films. That was like my, which one?
Didn't he do The Burning Plane?
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Yes.
He did The Burning Plane. It comes back.
Yeah, he did. And I like all those movies better than Birdman. I do like the.
Do you like Babel better than Birdman?
I do like
really.
I do like the performances in Birdman. I mean, I have no problems with the performances, but I do think that he let them down with his gimmickry. From the score. I mean, I understand the thinking with the one long continuous shot. There's like a potentially a danger and an alertness to it, and the feeling of almost live theater, which is where most of this movie plays out. But for me personally,
that's what floors me is that you, of all people, who's involved in theater. Like when I left this movie, and I said, you know, anyone who has done live theater, they're going to appreciate this movie more than anyone who hasn't, because of that energy that is just so palpable in this film that isn't in any other film that's involved people performing in live theater. And the fact that you performed in theater, you've trod the boards, and
yeah, as a portrait of like live theater performing, I thought it was just okay. I mean, the movie is actually really simple. It's like a guy that kind of he has to get over himself and kind of embrace the things in his life and reprioritize the things in his life that truly matter. And that's when he can take flight again, which he literally does at the end. So, I mean, it's very simple. And
Spoiler alert.
It was so simple. It was so simple that Iñárritu felt that he needed to muck it up with as much directorial kind of gee-whizzery as he possibly could. And that shit just annoyed me.
Jamie, did we see the same movie?
Yeah, I'm describing the movie right now.
When I saw your post on Facebook about it, I thought, oh, this is Jamie just going against the popular crowd, wants to be different, and not. I know that.
But I never review movies like that. A movie either moves me or it doesn't. I don't consider popular opinion when forming my own.
I think that it just goes back to like how you didn't like the Muppets, and if you just spent more time enjoying the Muppets.
Well, I've never.
I think you were in a bad mood when you saw this movie, and have you seen it a second time?
No, I went into the movie. This was the second most anticipated movie for me. I wasn't in a bad mood at all. I was looking forward to it. I wanted to love it so much. And it's not that I don't like the Muppets. It's that I've never watched the Muppets. They don't interest me. I'm not interested in kid stuff.
So, Jamie, now, because it sounds like, the whole, the filming of it is what you say got in its way. You're saying, the one-take kind of stuff, you're saying that got in the way of it?
The effects and all that kind of shit. And
you didn't feel like you were in this guy's mind? I mean, you didn't feel like you were Like, and to me, I actually was not at a certain point. I lost track of the one take thing. Like it didn't like stand out to me anymore because I was so engrossed in these characters.
Yeah, but the guy's mind isn't really very unique. I mean, it's the self-centered artist. How many fucking times have you seen that?
Well, I know, but in
Edward
this kind of
the whole aspect that that it is this, there is a simplistic narrative that you can all narrow it down to, and that he overcomplicates everything, and so this whole journey that's through this 2 hours is very
he doesn't
complex.
Inarritu does not overcomplicate it through the narrative. He overcomplicates it through all the devices he uses to tell the narrative, and that's gimmickry. That's show-offery. That's nothing that comes from the drama. It's all stuff impeded upon it.
Man.
From the way that he does the passage of time, and there'll be this just like a line that will indicate where the story is going to go, and even though you're still in that one take, and you just sort of. I remember in the first few minutes, the first like 15 minutes of the film, when they were replacing the actor, and Edward Norton all of a sudden shows up when they're saying, get him, and then all of a sudden he's there, and you realize, well, it's because of the time it took him to walk from this hallway to whatever, there was time that was passed that wasn't as established, like when they're outside talking on the balcony and then they leave and the sun rises, sun sets, whatever. The movie plays by its own rules, and I think that all the characters that come in have their own distinct voices. And that performance that Edward Norton gives, every time I forget how good an actor Edward Norton is, he reminds us with a performance like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The character was written very well, but
initially I didn't think I was going to like. Yeah, go ahead, Garney.
Yeah, he's a good actor, and he's playing a stereotype, and he does it very well. I mean, I have very little enthusiasm for it. And Michael Keaton is one of my favorites. I'm like, God bless Michael Keaton. I'm so glad that he's
let me just ask you that. So just like, I mean, just from the standpoint of that performance, Emma Stone, Edward Norton, I mean, everybody in this film, I mean, that didn't engross you? I mean, Michael Keaton's performance is extraordinary. I mean, that just blew me away.
The performances I did love. And actually, my favorite performance moment in the movie is Emma Stone when she's confronting him.
Brilliant.
Because that's the one scene where Inarritu isn't showing off, and he just focuses his camera.
Why did I know you were going to say that?
He just focuses his camera on Emma Stone, and it's an honest actor's moment, where the director doesn't.
It's such
and then
it's
he
such
walks
an interesting
away.
argument, though.
Sad. It's such a. And, see, it sounds to me like you liked the film, and that you wanted it to be even more. It's like you've been looking forward to it so much, and that you feel like you watched a bunch of smoke and mirrors, and that you liked it, but that he made it impossible for you to love it for some reason.
I think the performances are the performers are game. Like they're really good performers, and a lot of them could have really shined under a different director. I think the script is kind of mediocre. But the thing that makes it not a successful film for me is the director is too damn obtrusive.
Okay, so like in general, Jamie, I mean, now I can't remember from some of our past discussions, but whenever directors have done like, one take kind of things, I mean, do they always come off to you as gimmicky? Or I mean, have those worked for you before? Like in The Player, the opening of The Player?
They're one take sequences, but The Player has the Player is lampooning one take sequences in the very beginning.
Yeah, I understand that. But to me, I just like, man, because that to me, like I said, that style I think is what contributed so much to the success of the film. Because this is a film that should be studied years from now. I mean, this is a masterpiece in film assembly, film editing, storytelling, narrative. I mean, God, everything to me just was like, this is one of the most remarkable, unique films I've seen.
I don't think it's a study in narrative.
A movie that not only puts you in someone's world, it puts you in their head.
Yeah.
I think it can be a study in craft and technique, but for me, when you're dealing with such great actors, and you're dealing with something involving the stage, which is actually a performance medium, you need to get out of the performer's way. So, and I didn't feel like that. I felt like none of them were really able to really shine because the director was too busy doing his little camera tricks.
Man, it really does seem like we saw a different film. Because man, I thought it complemented the story so well and just involved me in a way that I think wouldn't have gotten me quite involved in it without that. I mean, because it was just, because you're right, it's dealing with a performance thing. So to me, that was a natural kind of choice. Let's use our tools in the performance, of the camera to follow this story along.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right in one respect. I think it was like a completely kind of ho-hum story, and so he wanted to dress it up as much as possible. But
I don't know if he's dressing it up, but
done the story.
Because I still think the screenplay is brilliant.
When you have him moving objects with his mind and levitating in the first scene, and then a big explosion.
You've never levitated in your underwear, Jamie? You never had
New York City, and the whole one.
I mean, you've never had a dream where you're.
He's dressing it up. He's dressing up a script that would have been, ho hum if anyone else had done it. I mean, it's visually
Jamie,
interesting.
This movie speaks to it speaks to so much. I thought it was such a brilliant examination of the nature of not only like performing in Hollywood. I mean, the whole idea of, you're on top one day and then you're gone the next. I thought that was so perfectly captured, and especially, and sort of the parallels with Michael Keaton and the Batman character, of having this kind of thing that you're trying to always match and that you can't. I mean, what performer has,
and the other
or
thing
anybody
that bothers
in
me
this industry,
about it it's criticizing like the gimmicky, pyrotechnic-y Hollywood movies that Michael Keaton's character is renowned for, and that he's trying to get out from the shadow of, and yet the movie itself is exactly like that. It throws in as many visual gimmicks as it possibly can.
It's so not
it's
like
guilty
that.
of the same thing it's criticizing.
No. Only in the sequence where we get the special effects that come in, maybe. But this.
Oh,
this
and
is
the
on
levitation and moving things with his mind and all that.
You were really upset by the levitation, weren't you?
I'm just telling
really
you all the
you.
gimmicks in it, and it's more than an explosion in the street. I'm explaining it.
Oh, man.
But even after with all this, one of the things I love about the film is that it leaves it just ambiguous enough where you can have different interpretations of how the movie ends. Perhaps he really did kill himself on stage, and the last 20 minutes are just his subconscious manifesting everything that he wanted to happen. And that's really, the last 20 minutes we are really inside his head on the floor of that theater. The people stand up, and then he envisions, I'm going to wake up with a new beak, and my daughter's going to respect me, and the critics are going to love me, and I'm going to be able to jump out this window and soar.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or maybe he really did miss. Because in the that scene that they're rehearsing in the very beginning, he put the gun in his mouth and he missed. You couldn't even do that right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're right about how it leaves it open to interpretation.
There's a lot of clever stuff about the screenplay that I don't think you're giving it credit for. Because you weren't moved. I think it deserves another chance, Jamie.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I hope you give it another chance.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to, but I mean,
Jesus.
I love that Jamie won't even
just
concede to.
I will go back and watch all of the Burning Plane without falling asleep.
Why would I concede to it?
Birdman
Why would
again.
I concede to it? I watched and I didn't like it.
Well, I know, but isn't it possible? I mean, you've admitted yourself. I mean, you didn't used to like Stanley Kubrick, but then you discovered, a whole new kind of. You saw something different.
Yeah.
So
you
might want to admit that you're good buddies, Jason and Garney. You might know what they're talking about in this.
Anytime I disagree with you always tell me that I'm wrong, and that pisses me the fuck off.
I do that just because that's enjoyable. No, but I do that just because it's fun.
I think you really believe it, and that's
no, I
distressing.
don't believe it. I don't. No, I don't. But it's the nature of because this is a movie that I mean, I'm not going to give away, but I mean, this is going to be very, very high on my top 10 list. And like I said, I mean, but it's just the nature of the debate. It's sort of, you know, I mean, I
have been very articulate.
No, you have.
Yes,
you have been absolutely articulate in your argument. But it's, you know, it's the same kind of thing. Like, you'll be articulate on that side, and we'll be very articulate because we're so passionate about it. You know, because it was a movie that reached, I know for me, it reached me on so many different levels. I mean, I felt so inspired by that movie in so many different ways. But no, I don't think you're wrong. You know.
Jamie, your opinion is valid and respected. Right, exactly. And that's why I want to. I just want you to agree with me.
There were a ton of movies. There were a ton of movies last year that I didn't like that were on my worst list that you guys were.
Well, let me ask you this. Maybe this is what the problem is.
Nothing is good as Birdman, though.
Well, I mean, you're putting it as the most disappointing film. I mean, would you rather watch like Birdman, as opposed to, you know, any of these other films on your list? I mean, did you really have such an awful time experiencing?
Birdman isn't like on my worst of the year list. It's not.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That I feel somewhat better. I'll sleep a little bit better knowing that, but.
I just knew it would be.
I mean, it does have a level of craft, and it does have great performers in it, and I mean, it's not embarrassing. I mean, it's not a bad.
Okay.
It's not a bad movie for me. It's just a disappointing one. That's it.
No, I get it.
I
mean, because hey, I've had to deal with you guys giving me shit for Rent, you know, for years. So I mean, I understand.
Wait,
I understand
that's giving you shit about something you like.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, it's that same kind of thing.
I mean, I had Babel at the first time we did this. I remember I was one who suggested, instead of doing our 10 worst films, let's just do the 10 disappointments, because it was the same thing. Whereas Babel was a good movie. It was a good movie, but it was like not Best Picture good. And
that's true.
It was specifically that movie was why I came up with this idea. It's like, I want to talk about how Babel is not as good as everyone else thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Jamie's doing here. He's saying that Birdman isn't as good as everyone else thinks it is.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? I have respect for you, Jamie. First, stick to your guns and not and not going, well, wait, maybe I am wrong. But
it's coming from a pure place. I mean, it's not that I want to get the grade.
I know.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, when I criticize Selma, it'll be because I want to go because I hate black people. I mean, that'll be my motivation for that.
Yeah, that'll be a whole different thing. Nicely done.
Anyway, I can't wait to see Selma. Actually, I know.
I'm like, that's all right. Well, we made it through the Birdman discussion.
All right,
we survived.
Yeah, I knew that was going to end up being like a 30-minute.
That was
tangent.
painful. Yeah, that was a painful one. I mean, because I thought we had pretty vicious discussions on Lincoln and movies like that, but yeah, the Birdman one, and you hit me kind of unexpectedly too with that, Jamie.
Maybe it's one-word title movies that take place in a theater. Maybe that's what I had a problem with, because I didn't like Lincoln either. Yeah.
Maybe Jamie is like too close to the theater, you know, to like, and so movies that take place in the theater tend to, something's not capturing it for Jamie yet.
Yeah. Well, unlike Lincoln, I didn't beg to get shot in the back of the head when I was watching Birdman. All right.
So you going to bed now, Jamie?
On that note, I sincerely enjoyed our time together.